In this video, we're going to be porting over the progressive hero search tests from the Tour of Heroes Angular tutorial project. If you've been following along with my previous videos, this is going to be the last porting video, so we'll be completing the migration from Protractor to WebDriver.io in this video. So we'll port over these set of tests, and then we'll do a little bit of project cleanup. As usual, got my notes here. As you can see, not too much going on here, so we're almost at the end of this little series. All right, so let's just jump right in here. We'll go into our app E2E spec file. This is the original code from Protractor, and here is our last block of tests. This is the progressive hero search, and we'll do the same that we've been doing before. So if you haven't watched my previous videos, definitely jump in there to get an idea of how we port some of this stuff over, because I'm going to jam through some of this pretty quickly because a lot of it is kind of the same old, same old. All right, so we'll take the first section of this and we'll bring that over to our app TS file. This is our WebDriver.io file that we're going to be using. Close out that section, and again, I'm going to kind of do some of the same stuff we've been doing in the previous videos. So I won't be highlighting too much of this typical stuff. And we need to bring over the search box and the search results. So control click to get to where that code is implemented, or a command click. Copy those two things over. Let's do a control or command click on the function that implements those pieces, those properties of the object it returns. Run auto format on it. This is a single element, so single $. Got to fix those parentheses. This is an all, so double $. And like I mentioned, if this is new, refer to my previous videos that kind of explain why you use a single $sign versus double $sign. All right, so let's just jump back to where this is now being used. So that's here. And we need to convert send keys over. This is going to be the first time we're entering into the search box, so we can just use a set value. And let's remove the duplicate await. We don't need that. The IDE is trying to be clever, and that's okay. We don't need it to be clever. So let's change this. WebDriver.io doesn't have a sleep function, or sleep method, so we'll just change this to a pause. It does the same thing, so just a rename there. And we'll use WebDriver.io matcher instead of count for this piece. Again, all this is pretty typical what we've been doing in some previous videos. So 2B element array of size, and 4 was what the expectation was. So that all looks really good. Let's go ahead and we're gonna filter the test so it just runs this block, this describe block. I also discussed this in a previous video, so definitely refer back if this is new to you. Otherwise, you can just kind of follow along. It's pretty self-explanatory what I'm doing here. Okay, so let's try running that block. Or run the end-to-end tests, which will just run those filtered tests. All right, perfect. One passing test, and you can see that it's our new progressive hero search set of tests. And we only have one test ported over so far. So let's keep going. All right. Next up is this one. And I mentioned this previously. The it blocks are dependent on each other. So it first searches using MA, so it uses the letters M and A, and then it continues the search by adding a G. So this is why it's a progressive hero search. It's going to progress through the letters, but not a huge fan of tying our it blocks together. But this is just a porting job we're doing right now. So I'm not going to redesign, I'm not going to refactor any of this. We'll save that for some future videos. All right, so since this is a continuation, we're no longer setting, we're going to be adding. So add value. This will append the G onto the last few letters that are in that search box. Again, let's remove the duplicate await. Change this to a pause. And let's change this to another 2B element array of size 2. And just to give some clarity here, so when you search for M and A, apparently there's going to be 4 objects returned, 4 results returned, and then when you add a G, it narrows that search, so then there's only 2. And that's kind of how this test goes. It's going to progress till it finds the specific hero that we're looking for. So let's run that one. We should see 2 passing tests. One thing I should also mention, normally I would say don't use pause or any types of sleeps in your tests. That tends to make a test fragile. But in this case, this is sort of expected functionality. We're typing a few letters and then we're allowing the system to populate its search results. So this isn't that bad. You could probably get a bit more sophisticated. We probably could use a smart wait or like a wait until and look for something to occur rather than just a dumb wait of 1,000 milliseconds or 1 second. But we'll get into that again in some future videos when I talk about test design. For now, this is good enough. All right, so we got 2 passing tests. So let's keep on moving along here. Do a little auto formatting. And this is where it gets a little bit further into the filtering and finds the actual hero we're looking for. But very similar. Let's use add value instead of send keys. Just use a pause. This looks good. We need to change this to another 2B element array of size 1. So we're filtering down to the hero that we're interested in. So the target hero is our expected hero. And we're going to see that the results show that expected hero. So let's change this to array notation. And that should clean this up. Actually, let's move some of our weights. We can move these out. Clean some of this up. Again, the hint here is if you're using a matcher that's from WebDriver.io, you can put the await at the very beginning. So we've got all of these ported over. Let's run this set. Make sure these are all passing. And I think we're good. We've got 3 passing tests. So 1 last test to go. Auto format. Let's use array notation for this piece. We're going to use WebDriver.io's to be present. To be present. Again, we can move the await out since it is a WebDriver matcher. WebDriver.io matcher. This needs an await. And the rest of this should be fine. All right, last test. Let's see if this one runs as well. Perfect. 4 passing tests. I think we're almost there. Shouldn't be much left. I think this whole file is done. We can actually remove this, and that's what we'll do. We'll continue by removing and cleaning up the project a little bit, getting Protractor out of here completely. What's interesting about doing this port is that not all of this code came over. So there was some dead code in here, and that's kind of the nice thing. One of the perks of doing porting work is sometimes you end up porting over stuff and then you find dead code. So it's a good way to shake out dead code from your project. All right, so let's go ahead and we're gonna start removing some things. So The E2E source directory was all Protractor code, so we can actually remove source completely. Pages directory is empty for now. We'll go ahead and leave that alone. In some future videos, we'll start talking about page objects and we'll restructure these tests, and so we'll use that directory. Specs, this is new. We're going to leave this alone. This is the app TS file we've been working in, so that's all fine. Leave this stuff alone. The tsconfig and WDIO conf.ts, we need these. These are new. Or the tsconfig we've updated to match WebDriver IO, and this is the configuration file. So everything in E2E I think is good. We'll leave these things alone. Source is the source of the actual project. Nothing to change there. I think the last thing we want to clean up is go into our package.json and remove Protractor. And since we're adjusting a dependency, let's go ahead and do an npm install. And let's go and remove the filter that we're using here. And let's make sure that all of the tests run now. npm EDE. There we go. Got to spell things correctly for them to work. So far, so good. It's always important to kind of rerun things, especially when you make like dependency changes or any kind of project changes. Make sure you didn't break anything. Awesome. So we're at 22 passing tests, and I believe that's what we started with before we ported anything. So we've got everything ported over. Last but not least, let's go ahead and commit this code. So let's start with a new branch. And what did we port over? The progressive hero search test. So let's copy this. We'll use that as part of the branch name. So port, and let's just convert this to lowercase with some dashes. And we'll say E2E tests, something like that. Port progressive hero search E2E tests. That looks good. Let's take a look at our diffs, make sure we didn't change anything we didn't expect to. Package lock, I'm not going to look at that. That's auto-generated. Our package.json. So yep, one change. We removed Protractor. That looks great. We removed the 2 Protractor files, so that's good. Oh, let's put in some notes here. So finalized porting of Protractor, or let's say finalized migration of Protractor to WebDriver IO. Protractor, make sure I spelled things correctly. Yeah, so let's see, removed Protractor depend, that doesn't look right. Here, let's do this. That's definitely not right. Removed Protractor related code and files, and finished porting this one, the progressive hero search end-to-end tests. All right, it's my little hack. That way I get some spell checking on my commit messages. I'm not the best speller in the world, as you can see, so that helps out. Okay, so let's just double check. So yep, package.json, that looks good. Let's look at our app. Did we make sure we included everything that we needed to? So yeah, this stuff is what we expect. Our search box, our search results, and the new set of tests. So that all looks good. No other changes that I can see. So I think we're in good shape. Let's go ahead and commit this. And let's publish that branch. And that should do it, folks. Like I said, we'll have some future videos that talk about test design. We'll do some refactoring, some restructuring of this project. So be on the lookout for that. Until next time, peace.